Hi, my name is Eric Thomas. I'm the guy who invented LISTSERV 25 years ago. But today we're not going to talk about LISTSERV. We're going to talk about cloud computing. Yesterday we got this magazine, Cloud Magazine, and I felt it was rather brutal. The editorial ends with the statement, "You do not want to be compared with Gaddafi at work." And that's what's going to happen to you unless you adopt cloud computing. And employees have been asking me, Eric, they seem to say, if you don't go over to cloud computing, it's over. What are we going to do? What are ELSERV's plans for cloud computing? And what am I going to tell customers and so on? But by and large, the number one question I've gotten is, what is cloud computing, by the way? And so what is cloud computing? And the truth is that nobody really seems to know what is cloud computing. Your cloud computing, my cloud computing are two completely different things. Everybody wants to be on the bandwagon. Everybody wants to either be a customer of cloud computing or a provider of cloud computing. So if you provide something, you need to find a way that whatever you provide is cloud computing. Most people seem to say it's on the cloud when they mean software as a service. So a company like ELSERV that offers hosting services with one data center in Europe and one data center in the US is a cloud company. But in reality, the way that cloud computing started, the definition, if you want, the technical definition of cloud computing is that you have a bunch of computers everywhere in the world, and you don't care which of these computers is running the program and processing your data. So how did it all start? If you check on the net, you will find that most people say that Amazon invented cloud computing. And some people say, but in reality it was Google, because it didn't become famous until the CEO of Google started to talk about it in 2007. And if you dig a bit more, you find that already in the 80s, Sun Microsystems was saying the network is the computer. And that isn't the beginning of cloud computing. But in reality, I think who created cloud computing as a proof of concept was the spammers. In 2003, the first spam worm, the Melissa worm that sent messages to all your contacts saying, "I love you," was released on the world. And that's exactly cloud computing. It's a big network of computers all over the world infected by a virus. You don't even know in what country they are. You don't know what operating system they're running. The only thing you care about is that they're delivering your spam. And that is cloud computing. But of course, seriously, cloud computing is not about spam. It's a very serious business tool. Well, let me tell you about the first time I used cloud computing a few days ago for the live chat on September 15. I was faced with a choice between buying an Adobe Flash Media Server license for $5,000 and setting it up on our servers, or using the cloud computing service offered through Amazon Web Services. And looking just at the price and the fact that we would probably not do this kind of live chat on a regular basis, I figured it was much cheaper to use the cloud computing service. And the total cost appears to have been under $50. So from that point of view, it was a much better decision than running the service ourselves. And I thought that since this was Adobe, and this is something that is used largely by Mac people, by designers and so on, that it would be relatively easy to set up and get started. I was completely wrong. It was extremely difficult to get started on Amazon Web Services. I had to create XML files by hand using the text editor. I had to download and compile a tool that I could use to submit these XML files to the Amazon server. And the instructions didn't work. The instructions worked at the time they were written, but then they changed and they did not update the instructions. The URLs changed, they did not update the instructions. Okay, but when I finally got started, approximately 45 minutes before we were to go live, the service crashed. So what was I to do? I had to log in to this Amazon Web Service virtual server, which is a Linux server. But it's not the distribution of Linux that I'm used to. I didn't know where files were located. It was set up by another person. I had no idea where the data was kept. I was running under the gun. I was doing my best to go around there and find this thing to restart it. And finally, I restart the application. Everything goes back to normal. We make a final test, and what do I hear? I hear the test we made 4 hours ago. And we go in panic mode and we start searching on the net, and what do we find? That this is a known problem of the thing that Amazon calls cloud formation. It will cache your data for 24 hours. The only way to delete this old sound is to shut down the service and restart it from scratch, which takes half an hour. We were ready about 15 minutes before I went live. And I felt completely powerless. I know quite a lot about operating systems and so on, and I would have had no trouble fixing that problem if it had been in our computer room, but I was completely at the mercy of the cloud provider. It ended well, but it could have been different. So I think I have nothing against the cloud, but I think you have to be very careful about what you're doing, because yes, it saves a lot of money in certain cases, but there are implications, and you have to have a plan B. You have to be prepared for the worst, because it can and will happen. So what are Elseviers' plans for cloud computing? Well, first of all, in the sense of using the real cloud computing, like the one provided by Amazon Web Services, I think it's just not appropriate for email, because you're getting a virtual server in somebody else's computer room somewhere in the world, and you don't know what IP address it will get. Every time that you order the service, you will get a new and different IP address. So you're not able to build any kind of reputation. This IP address has been used by somebody else before. For all you know, it was used by a spammer. So you don't know. You're not able to. You're losing control of your reputation, your deliverability, and so on. So I think it's just simply not appropriate for an email service. In the sense of the software as a service, of course, we already have and have had since 1995 a hosted service today with 2 locations. And so, of course, we offer this to customers, and that's not a problem. But I think this is a lot of hype. I think this is the fashion of the moment. I think there are services that do belong in the cloud, and live streaming is an extremely good example, because I did not know in which part of the world the viewers would be located. And Amazon offers a service that covers the whole globe, and they will intelligently distribute your data all over the world to reach people in the optimum way, which is something I cannot do from Stockholm. But services such as email lists and so on, I think, in my opinion, do not belong on the cloud. Thank you for listening. Hey, it just struck me, cloud computing is like a good cup of coffee. Here's the real thing, and here's the cloud on top of it.